Very warm welcome, my viewer. Today we want to discuss about the young nation in the world, that is South Sudan, which is being torn apart by war currently. This is Kuku wach, brought to you by Oloo Mbaka. I have two guests in studio. I have a former member of parliament from South Sudan and our in-house panelist or analyst, that is Anthony Jaragenya. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Anthony,
thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Now we want to talk about South Sudan, the youngest nation in the world. Manasseh, what's happening in South Sudan?
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to try and put record straight to our friends in Kenya and around the world. What has brought us to where we are started as a disagreement within the SPLM, the Sudan People's Liberation Movement. A disagreement over leadership. Because some members of the SPLM felt that there was no democracy within the SPLM, and they wanted these issues to be discussed. Should the chairman of the party be there forever? Should the secretary general have a term limit? All these kind of things. So they wanted to discuss these things in December 2013. And this was how the disagreement started. And the President Salva Kiir, who was the chairman of the SPLM at the time, decided to dismiss some of his comrades. Among the people he dismissed was the then vice chairman of the SPLM, Dr. Jaragenya, the then Secretary General of the party, Comrade Pagan Amom, and the others. So this was how the crisis started. And after he dismissed these comrades, they decided and said, okay, they will continue to fight for democracy. They decided that they will form an opposition to really explain to the people of South Sudan what has gone wrong.
Why was the dismissal?
This is part of the lack of democracy within the party, because the constitution of the party do not give the chairman the mandate to dismiss. Because I've disagreed with you, you wake up and dismiss. No, it doesn't give. There's supposed to be a national conference, delegates conference, where such replacements can take place. The other groups led by Dr. Jaragenya, who had been agitating for this, had been calling on the president and said, you need to call this national conference delegate so that we meet there and discuss these issues. So I can say that the president and the people around him, those who are his advisors, were afraid. Were afraid of democratic challenge. So that is Salva Kiir. That's Salva Kiir.
I think there's something to say. Something to say. Maybe Manasseh, you've missed it. Before the meeting, there was a time when people started feeling that SPLM had actually lost direction. And that is a moment when somebody like Machar was actually sent to Unity State to try and get what is it that people are saying. Does it mean that SPLM has lost direction and has lost the same objective that it was formed? And then, of course, the reports started coming in, and the report seems to say that, look, SPLM has lost direction and the leadership has a problem. And you also realize that the political bureau was supposed to be meeting at least once a year. And this had been delayed for almost 2 years, thereabout. And so the thing was, like, let's have a meeting with political bureau and let's discuss these issues. And the reports needed to be discussed. And I think then now the press conference that took place in December, you said December 4th.
Yes. In fact, I will come to that. It is true that the secession of South Sudan, before that, the autonomy, the autonomy which was given to Southern Sudan with the CPA, with the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, really created a lot of excitement and expectation from the people of the then Southern Sudan. They really looked up to the SPLM, and the SPLM was going to come and do things that they had not seen in life.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
there are people like myself. I think I had never seen a tarmac. You know, until until when I was brought as a young boy, because I was lucky that my father was able to bring me to Kenya.
Yes.
So there was a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
And 5 years down the line, especially from 2005 to 2010,
Yes.
People felt that the SPLM had lost direction. There was rampant corruption. There was no goodwill to put in place institutions.
Yes.
Already a group was creating a kind of class of bourgeois.
Yes.
So the difference,
Yeah.
the differences was already beginning to create it between the poor and the rich.
Yes.
So that's when now there was that impression that the SPLM had lost direction,
Yes.
and somebody like Dr. Jaragenya now decided and said he will take it upon himself and said, okay, for us to sort out this, we must start it with reforming the party.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is really how it came to 2013.
Yes.
So after these colleagues were expelled from the SPLM, yes, they held the press conference.
Yes.
At SPLM House.
Yes.
I think which was in early December. It must have been December 4th or December 6th.
Yes.
Is when they held that press conference and said now they will begin to hold the rallies.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that people were talking about rally in South Sudan.
Yes.
Yeah. And when I saw that, I was a bit worried. I was a bit worried. I was a bit worried because I have seen in democratic countries, like here, when the opposition will say we are going on.
Yes.
And maybe the police are saying you don't have permit, we will not allow you. So in such a situation, the two are bound to clash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here in Kenya and in other countries, the police use tear gas, water canisters, and all this kind of things.
Yes.
And I knew in South Sudan the police do not have tear gas.
Yeah. What do
they have
use?
the bullets,
Live bullets.
Yes. So I knew that if these people are going to go ahead with this planned rallies,
They're going to die.
They are going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was. It was a good intention.
Yes.
I can say that the opposition had a good intention.
Yes.
Because they wanted to bring change.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is how.
Thank you so much, Manasseh. Let me come to Anthony. Anthony, with your vast knowledge, and I know you are very good in history, and you've learned a lot. What can you tell us about South Sudan? Do you think this way is between the Dinka and the Nuer? And there is also this philosophy. You've always been telling me about a savior, that people believe that a savior will come, who will save the people.
Yes.
What can you say about it when Manasseh is here so that he can also respond to the same? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, Southern Sudan is there is that sentimental attachment.
Yes.
And some of us who are Luos and are Kenyans.
Yes.
Because in Kenya, there's some Southern
I've
Sudan.
heard Luos say before they are attached to Sudanese.
Yes. It's like the Jews.
Yes.
The Jews. If you meet a Jew in Russia, he'll always tell you home is in Israel. It's the same that happens to us.
Yes.
We can have a lot of nice time in Kenya, but we always know we originated from Southern Sudan. So anything that happened in Southern Sudan, it really touches very close to a Luo's heart. And what for me, Southern Sudan have an issue with having a national leader.
Yes.
A national leader that will look at Southern Sudan and say, this is a country that needs to be managed as a country, not as a tribal cocoons that you have your tribe and then you say, my tribe will overload it over others. And that is what I tend to see. But then now to speak about the Dinkas and Nuer, I don't know whether Manasseh will disagree or agree with me.
Yes.
Among the Nuer, there is this prophet that said that a young man will come among the Nuer, he will be left-handed, he will have a gap on his teeth, and will one time marry a white woman, and that man will be their savior.
Yeah.
And those description fits
Riek Machar.
Riek Machar.
And that he will write with a left
And
hand.
they do believe he's the one.
Among the Nuer, that is there. But then if you look at the population, the Dinkas are the majority. And then it is Dr. Garang, who is a Dinka Bor, who basically was the first president of Southern Sudan. And you see, Dr. Garang was a towering figure. And probably, I always think that he looked at Southern Sudan as a nation, not his tribe. So then you have a new president that is coming in, who allow me to say this, not very well educated, not very vast with international politics, but is very good on as a general, army general.
Yes.
So then that become the president.
Yeah.
So those are the issues that I think we're having in
South Sudan.
In Southern Sudan.
Yes. Thank you so much, Anthony. Manasseh, coming to you, can you tell us a bit of what is the content of the peace agreement in Addis Ababa? Yes.
The peace agreement is a good basis,
yes,
which we South Sudanese, if well utilized, could bring the stability and the change that we need in the country.
Yeah.
Let me just highlight some of the important provisions in the agreement. The agreement says there will be 2 army in South Sudan.
Yeah.
And I think the reason...
2 army. 2 army or 1 army?
2 army.
2
army. Because Dr. Riek Machar remains the commander-in-chief of the SPLA in opposition, and Salva remains the commander-in-chief of the SPLA in government.
So 2 army in one nation.
Yes. The essence of this was that those of Dr. Riek Machar and us ran out of Juba because of our own security. And there was also a need for this culture of militias to come to an end. Yeah, and for you to bring this culture of militias to come to an end, is there must be a process. Yeah, a process accepted by all parties to bring in 1 army.
Yeah.
So the peace agreement set a roadmap for that. That first of all, Juba will be demilitarized.
Yes.
All the armed people in Juba, either allied to the government or allied to the opposition, will be 25 miles outside Juba. And then there will be cantonment centers.
Yes.
Cantonment centers where all the army of the 2 warring armies and their allies will be cantoned. And inside those cantonment centers, the peace agreement had already created another institution called CITSAM. And the work of CITSAM was to go to the cantonment centers to verify these people. You know, internationally there's a way of disarming somebody who was a guerrilla. I think it is either you must have been in combat, you must have a gun, and all these kind of things. So that process was supposed to take place, ultimately ending up in us having 1 united South Sudan army with one command. This is very important. It's very important. And then the peace agreement talk of reforms in the police, in the judiciary, and the peace agreement created an institution called the National Constitution Amendment Committee. This committee is very, very important because this committee was to transform the peace agreement into the constitution. There are issues that we have in South Sudan, issues about boundaries. Issues about boundaries, issues to do with the elections and all this. So this committee was to help and also bring in an independent electoral commission, even for us to do census. You know? From nowhere they say that, you know, the Dinka is the largest tribe. The Nuer is the 2nd largest tribe. They say the Zande, where I come from, is the 2nd largest tribe. But I say that we need proper census, so that we will know. The census will tell us whether the Nuer is the 2nd largest tribe or the Zande is the 2nd largest tribe. So we need the census so that we have that data in place. And ultimately, at the end of the 30 months, there will be an election. There will be an election where the people of South Sudan will choose whether it is Dr. Riek Machar, whether it is Salva, or whether it is an independent person. So really, that's why I say this agreement is good, and we should not let it. We should not let it.
And what is curtailing the agreement? If that is the content of the agreement, as you put it, Manasseh, it's something so good. What's happening? Is it between the Riek Machar or the Salva who are making it so hard to realize the dream of the people of South Sudan? Anthony?
For me, what is difficult, and the way Manasseh explained it so well, Because if you look the perception in Southern Sudan, there is that perception. It may not be true.
Yes.
There's a perception that the Dinkas are dominating.
Yeah.
So anytime you go for an election,
yes,
a national election, what will happen is that majority, those who are not Dinkas will not vote for a Dinka president.
Yeah.
They'll vote for a non-Dinka president. Now, with that kind of arrangement, Salva Kiir feels that he's cornered. He'll be defeated.
Yes.
So it's an election that you know you will go after
so
30 months, but you will be defeated. So the best thing for you is either scuttle the whole thing and continue being the president. Because there's a tendency I find in Africa that president want to be president for life. And I think that's what Salva wants. Yes.
I think just to add on what Anthony had said.
Yes.
President Salva Kiir, in my view, lost it on the day of the independence.
Yes.
Because he is a man who struggled all his life to see the independence of South Sudan.
Yeah.
And also, he should have taken into consideration that although the founding fathers of the SPLA were mostly the Dinka, it was not only the Dinka who fought this war. It was all South Sudanese. It was all South Sudanese, and actually that is how the SPLA was able to control the whole of Southern Sudan, because all the tribes joined in. So, for example, if he was patriotic enough, he could have said on the Independence Day that this is what I went to the bush to fight for. And now that we've got it, there are other comrades here. The other comrades here, I will hand over to one of them to go ahead. I will hand it over to you, Dr. Riek Machar, you take it. Build the nation. When your time comes to an end, hand it over to Pagana Mom, or to Denga Lord, or to another one. I tell you, if that had happened, we would have...
There will be peace.
Yes, and we would have set a precedent of successful transition in South Sudan. Now, this didn't happen. And that's why now, 10 years after the end of the war, the other groups begin to say, okay, we cannot continue like this. We cannot continue like this, and we needed a change. So that is how they start to agitate for change. When the crisis started in 2013, the impression people had was that it was a war between the Dinka and the Nuer. It is not really the case. I always tell the story. I think it is in the animal kingdom that I think the cat was terrorizing rats, and the rat said, what we can do is we need to tie the belt on the neck of the cat. So that every time the cat is coming, people take cover. So this already, people were very unhappy with the system in South Sudan. So they were looking for that courageous cat. So who can come and tie the...
Manasseh, just on that time in 2013, was it a coup? And was it organized by somebody?
No, there was no coup. That even how flawed the judiciary system is in South Sudan. The South Sudanese court dismissed the coup allegation. That there was no coup, and that is how actually those of Pagana Mom,
the 10,
Denga Lor, Ezekiel, and the others were freed because it was proved that there was no coup attempt. It was an attempt. It was an attempt to get rid of the comrades who are agitating for reform within the SPLM.
Thank you so much, Manasseh.